Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Supreme Litigant. And I'm back again with another video for y'all. Y'all already know the routine. If y'all don't know by now, if you're new, go ahead and pound that subscribe button and that like button. I really appreciate that. This video is for anybody who is having problems with Child Protective Services or DHR. Here, they're called Department of Human Resources. That's what they're called here. In other places, they're called Child Protective Services or CPS, something like that. I'm not sure what your state calls it, but in other words, but anyway, what y'all need to understand is that is an administrative agency. CPS is an administrative agency. The Department of Human Resources is an administrative agency. The Department of Motor Vehicles is an administrative agency. The FBI is an administrative agency, and so on and so forth. Anyway, but this video is for people who are dealing with them and who want to, who don't want these people coming to their house, asking them questions about their kids, looking in their refrigerators, looking all in their drawers, and so on and so forth like that. If you don't want these people coming to your house trying to interview you and giving you phone calls and randomly popping up at your house without your permission, this is how you stop that. But the only way that you can stop it now, in my opinion, is if they do not have a valid cause of action against you, or in other words, facts to support why they are coming out your house, such as like you're not taking care of your kids or your kids are being abused and shit like that. If you believe that these people do not have the facts to support their case, if you genuinely believe that, and you believe somebody may just be lying on you, because people do lie on you and just send these people out here to harass you and so on and so forth. People do that shit. But anyway, if you believe that, then this video is for you. This is a letter that I typed up. I'm going to break it down to y'all, the letter, and the purpose of it. Because they cannot come to your house without your permission. They cannot interview you without your permission. They cannot call your phone without your permission. Unless they have a lawful purpose for doing that. Your permission would also be a lawful purpose for them doing that. So don't give them your permission if you don't want them now. See, they think, well, I'll read the letter first and I'll break it down to you. But anyway, so I want y'all to just pay attention. I have some footnotes in here for y'all. I did this in about 45 minutes. I think this will work no matter where you are. I think this will work. It probably needs some editing. Like, for example, instead of saying Department of Human Resources, if they call it Child Protective Services, in other words, you would just probably, just erase this and just put Child Protective Services in there. Some shit like that. But anyway, I want y'all to pay attention to this title right here. Okay, it's called a notice of non-voluntary consent, except under duress, to phone calls, home visits, or interviews. Okay, pay attention. This can be used if you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter. Just edit it. Notice is hereby given that John Doe, hereinafter Doe, does not voluntarily consent to any phone calls, home visits, or interviews. See that one right there? There's a footnote down there. Let's go down here and see what that says, what that footnote says. Number one, any person has a right to refuse to be interviewed. And there's the Alabama case that supports that contention. You see that? They don't play with me. Sometimes they do, but that's because they don't know who I am. But they're not going to be violating my rights and think they can do whatever the hell they want to do. And you shouldn't let them do that to you either. Where we left off. Or interviews of neither himself nor his offspring from the Department of Human Resources, hereinafter agency. Pay attention close to what I'm about to say right here, y'all, because this is what they like to do. However, due to the fact lawful refusal, such as those of phone calls, home visits, or interviews of said agency can, although meritless, somehow be construed as inculpatory evidence against Doe, Doe hereby consents to phone calls, home visits, or interviews of said agency under extreme duress. And there's another footnote in there. Let's go back right here. When I said, let me see, when I typed this up, however, due to the fact lawful refusal, meaning you have a right to refuse that. And it's lawful for you to do that. So do it. You don't need their permission. It's because it's lawful. Lawful refusal, such as those of phone calls, home visits, or interviews of said agency, can, although meritless, meaning they don't have any facts to support it, meaning the law, meaning as a matter of law, it's frivolous, it's baseless, it's devoid of the prerequisite elements of the facts that it needs. Although meritless, can let me see, can, although meritless, somehow be construed as inculpatory evidence against Doe. This is what I mean by this. They'll try to use you exercising your right of refusal to allow them to come into your house or give you phone calls or interview you. They'll try to use that against you and say that you have something to hide. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta play their game with them. Play their game with them because that's this type of shit that they do. And I'm not joking. If you ever dealt with DHR, if you're in Alabama, if you've ever dealt with DHR, this is the type of shit that they do. If you've ever dealt with a juvenile court, this is the type of shit that they do. You just exercising your right. You don't have anything now. You just don't want them to come to your house because you don't want them to come to your house. That's it. Anyway, somehow be construed as inculpatory evidence against Doe. Doe hereby consents to phone calls, home visits, or interviews of said agency under extreme duress. This is what's going to scare them and make them leave you the fuck alone. There's a footnote right there. Y'all see that number 3 right there? There's a footnote right there. Let's go and see what that footnote says. Duress. Duress is defined as subjecting a person to improper pressure, which overcomes his will and coerces him to comply with demands to which he would not yield if acting as a free agent. This is how you make them leave you the fuck alone when they don't have any case against you. This is how you do it. I'm almost certain that this will work. Sometimes it may not work. You know, if they just like if they just terrible, it may not work. It may not. But if once they read this and they know that you know what you're talking about, they're gonna leave you alone. Especially if they don't have a valid cause of action against you. They're gonna leave you the fuck alone. Now here's the meat and bone. Here's the smoking gun. Here's the ace right here. I made sure that I put this in here for y'all. Anyway, Doe hereby consents to phone calls, home visits, or interviews of said agency under extreme duress exclusively for said reason. What said reason? This reason right here can somehow, even although meritless, somehow be construed as inculpatory evidence. That reason right there. Moreover, the investigating officer, agent, or employee is hereby notified Doe intends to procreate federal, civil, and criminal actions against same forthwith, meaning immediately, upon entering upon the entering of his private property without his consent. You make sure you when you give them this letter, whoever coming out to your house, you make sure you got a video of this shit. And you serve them this letter and you video their ass and you video yourself handing them this letter. And you putting them on notice right then and there. Like, look, I don't consent to y'all going into my house. However, I know y'all like to use that shit against people and make it seem like that people who don't want you to come into the house are guilty. So look, I'm gonna let y'all come in here, but under duress. I do not consent to any of this shit. And I'm also letting you know when you go in there without my permission, I'm gonna file federal criminal charges and civil charges and state and federal. I'm giving your ass everything. Do not go in that house without my permission. Period. I'm going to procreate state criminal actions against you, state civil actions against you, federal civil actions against you, and federal criminal actions against you. And I'm going after your buns. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to make sure that you don't do this to at least to me again. You might do it to somebody else, but you won't do it to me again. Ever. Do y'all see that? Try that out. One of y'all try this out. If you ever, if you're dealing with that, just try this out and just let me know how it works. I think this will work. I think this is a great tactic, and I hope y'all can benefit from it. If you're in Alabama, and all you got to do is just copy and paste this, and just put your name in there or whatever. There's all the footnotes, everything in there. I do have another one in here. Hold on. Let me see. What did I put? There was another one here. Offspring. Yeah. When I was saying, Doe does not voluntarily consent to any phone calls, home visits, or interviews of neither himself nor his offspring from the Department of Human Resources. I said except. There's an exception to it, though. Except when said agency has a lawful purpose for interfering with Doe's private life. They have it. Whatever they do to you, it's got to be lawful. It's got to be reasonable. If it's unreasonable, it's a wrap. If it's unreasonable, it's unlawful. Period. Don't let these people scare you, man. They got to leave this world just like you in a casket. Hopefully this video helps y'all. If it did, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like me to, if I didn't break it down enough to where y'all can understand it, just let me know. But anyway, I think this document will help. I call it Notice of Non-Voluntary Consent. That's the title of this document. It's non-voluntary. They're forcing you to do this. Use this against them. Y'all let me know how it goes. Supreme Litigant is out. Peace.